Hello, we are at the EDNF Conference 2012. We have Linda, Jennifer,
David,
Melanie.
For me, it's been a real surprise because my daughter was perfectly healthy in every sport, academic overachiever, outgoing child until the age of 9. And then it took almost 2 years to figure out what was going on and I was going to figure it out. I think the most challenging thing for me has been seeing the way the world has reacted to her, in the sense that because of her friends' newspapers pretty much disappeared, dealing with the medical community has been really hard because there's so limited knowledge because it's such a rare disease. As a parent, it's really been heartbreaking, but also had some positive consequences, as strange as that may seem. The sort of confirmation of my own personal values that my child is the most important thing in my life. I've had to put my life actions in alignment with that. She is the most important thing. I love her, would not choose not to have her. She's my greatest inspiration. But there is a certain amount of loss that you grieve continuously from your child, for a lot of their childhood is lost, and the experiences they've had have been negative.
I would say it's consuming. If I tell one more doctor that looks at me for me to explain things, that I'm using my medical degree in accounting or my accounting degree in medicine, really luckily I have a lot of family support, which makes it doable. We have another child, so you have to balance everything and trying to work and trying to, because EDS is now part of life, kind of to reinvent family life to incorporate the flexibility you need with it. The new normal that you can't plan for, and I think that's the most difficult thing. You can't plan a vacation. You can't go to the beach anymore. It's hard, and it's hard when you have a kid that does not have EDS, because she might want to go to the beach, or it might, you don't want to create resentment. So it's very difficult as a family dynamic. And then it's just a huge financial load, time pressure load, and stress. However, it's your kid. It's a no-brainer. It's not something you're like, oh, okay, well, you just do, and you always do.
The hardest thing for me is the frustration. My daughter was 17, was just diagnosed in April. She's been to the orthopedist since she's been 2. And everybody said, oh, she's hypermobile, she's flexible. Oh, those are growing pains. Oh, well, maybe it's depression. Oh, and she's proven everybody wrong. And when I need to get tough, I pull my doctor mom, and people have been listening to me, but getting answers. I know that I don't even know the questions to ask because I don't have anybody who can respond. But the hardest thing is seeing your child in pain, and you have no idea what to do for them. If they can't take heat or they can't take cold, pain medicine doesn't help, and you just sit there and you massage and you move and you say I love you, and tomorrow it'll be over and we'll have another body part ache. So it's like you said, she is my everything. And she said to me recently, because I said, do your friends know? She said, why should they know? She said, Mom, because I have EDS doesn't mean EDS has me. And I said, you're right. And I get my strength and I learn every minute from her. She's really guiding the way, but she's proven them wrong. And it's just so hard to find people, they believe you, but they kind of like, they don't really know what to do with you. And being here to me has just solidified everything. And watching my daughter get the formal diagnosis in April and seeing her just sit there taller and say, I'm not crazy, there's something wrong with me, and everybody knows it now, it's documented. I couldn't cry because I was just so in awe of her strength and her ability to just say, "Yeah, it's part of my life, I've always had it." I, on the other hand, was, still trying to put the pieces together for her.
Has she had any loss because of it? I mean, she's got pain and things like that. But it sounds like she hasn't had to give up things she loves.
She, for the most part, she hasn't. Her friends think she's an oddity in some of the things that she could do. So she's comic relief, and they, she'll pull out a trick unbeknown, not to be the class clown, but she will pull out a maneuver that we're like, okay, where did that one come from?
So that's
but-
fortunate.
Yes.
My daughter's had a lot of loss.
Yeah, and it's the
All the
loss that's
sports are gone, and that was part of century she's at.
and then her friends.
And then my mother was a state champion basketball player. My brother was a state champion cross country runner. Was in her blood. Even now, she wants to do basketball. She's academically never had to study in her life straight A's, and then missing out of school and having difficulty in school, just sitting her homework and not teaching her. She's, not as academically sharp, even though she has one of the second highest IQ I've ever seen her do. So you can't tell me my kid's stuff. And then when the medical community tells you to punish your child because she's not going to school, and your kid is there crying because she can't go to school, and they're not listening to you and trying to tell you how to parent their child that they don't know, and they're getting all their answers from the back of a textbook instead of listening to you. That's been my frustration. And if you haven't noticed, I'm a big advocate for my kids. So I push a lot of doctor's buttons because I do have a medical background. I used to be a speech pathologist specializing in orthodontics and pediatrics. So guess what? You can explain it to me. You can't tell me this is over my head. So either bring it, and if you don't know what you're doing, back off of my kid. And they don't want to hear that. And what I found is, you go to an expert. I've gone to Dr. Tinkle and brought back information to her doctors, and then they're upset that you've got another opinion and don't want to follow it. That's my frustration.
I've let the doctors, the team that we have now, know that as she's crossing from pediatrics to adult, that I will be searching for the experts. I'm no longer going to take somebody who knows about it.
But there aren't extras.
I know.
See, this is the newly diagnosed. You hope that you're going to find that.
Another thing that's been a challenge for me is my peers because, I've been career very successful historically. When they see my shift away from the total focus on climbing the corporate ladder like a lab rat to saying, my child is my priority, there's some people who honor that, and then some people who say you're crazy. I've been told, why don't you send your daughter off for a couple of years and you can focus on your career. Well, those are not consistent with my values,
A worker said to me, your daughter's home again? And with this tone about there's something wrong with me that I'm letting this child, pull the wool over my,
she's manipulating you. That's what
I'm so tired
I
of that.
kind of like get up and walk away, and I really haven't addressed it because,
it's not worth the energy.
Not,
my energy has to go somewhere else.
There's another hard part of this, which you mentioned, and I see too, which is when your kid has EDS, it can't be cured. They're in pain all the time, on one level or another. There are some days when they just don't feel like doing a bit. And the way you deal with EDS is you keep moving, you treat it with pain meds, you treat it with relaxation techniques, you treat it with physical therapy, and you have to treat it with all three. And there are days when if you have EDS where you just have to work through all that. But your kid is depending on you to comfort them. And at the same time, you're playing the role where you're the one saying, you need to get out of bed. You know it hurts. I have to do it.
It's that balancing.
And that's the tough part.
How do you know when?
You don't.
You don't. That's the problem.
You don't. And you're always second guessing yourself. Did I do it?
my daughter, the things that have literally kept her in bed is fatigue. And when she sits up and starts talking to me, and I see her literally going like this, she can, she's not going to school. And for her, it's usually 2 to 3 days before she gets enough strength to get up. But she will literally just like...
So you have a good visual.
Oh, yeah. With her headaches, I mean, can look at somebody and see a migraine. I looked at her, and it wasn't a migraine. There were certain things.
Sometimes I can see the. I mean, you can really.
Sydney's getting camouflage because she's been taught not to express it.
Right. You don't
Then
talk
Sydney
about
was walking around with a fractured foot for 3 days because she was told, you don't talk about it.
Right.
So it's like getting her at that young, tender age. She needs to tell me, which is
Are you in pain?
contradictive of other
Always in
people. Right, we're all just shifting around them, and I praise God that I found the choir that she's in. It's Kansas City
Isabel's
Boys
gonna
and
start
Girls,
swimming,
the Kansas City
singing.
Boys and Girls, and they accept her with her disability. They're letting her even travel with them because they have a nurse that travels. So, as a parent, I'd advocate look for those gyms in the community that will embrace your child. But in one place doesn't fit, there's a place for them to fit. Just always show that for me, my love for my child is unconditional. I mean, when she was straight A's, that was great. But I didn't love her because of the straight A's. I just loved her. It's not, my love is not based on what you do. I love you because of who you are. I love you because you're sitting, you're my kid. It doesn't matter what you do. Nothing can prevent me from loving you. Nothing makes it greater or smaller. I just love you. Period.
We're in a pretty competitive suburban Boston town. 98%, 99% of high school goes to college. And it's just super competitive. And all the parents talk about what college,
I'm really not
grades,
stalking you.
all this stuff. And I'm like, what do I want my kid to be happy? That's all I want. Simple things. They'll go to college. They'll figure it out.
My daughter, again, same thing, straight A's without
Not stressed.
studying. Now that after she was diagnosed, the whole college search went on hold. And I said, I need to do a Google. Where is EDS research? Where are EDS doctors? Where is a medical facility? Some of her physicians said, don't worry, we know people in these towns, these towns. Oh yeah. Also, if she's going out of town, we're in New York City. It has to be where there's a family or friend member close enough in an emergency. Not come over for Friday night dinner. Not, let's do this. But that she'll find her way. But where there's in an emergency, she's not an island. Somebody knows her, somebody can understand her, and somebody can get to her until it takes me the time to get to her.
Well, I plan to go where she goes.
Oh, even
I
after
will.
she graduates from
Well,
high
I
school.
mean, my daughter is only 12, right?
Yeah.
And I'll work, and then, you know what? The house will sell. I'm a single parent.
She'll go with Isabel.
I'm done.
But you
I'm
know
done.
that she
I don't
her
care.
EDS brings some of that focus straight to, let's pass this on to others. Let's look at people and support them. And really, everybody needs somebody.
Well, I think our children are going to be a gift to the community. So it's just
Beautiful.
developing that
Already are.
and finding that. That's basically.
That's a good way to end.
Yeah.